There we are. So today what I want to talk to you about is, it's a very important thing, and it comes at a particularly interesting time, is taking your work to the next level. And before we finish, I'm going to talk to you about one of our VJ.com members who also went to our boot camp and then went to our special 2-day thing on how to pitch a session. And she's currently in Cannes in the south of France pitching her show at MIP, which we'll talk about in a second, and I'll show you some pictures from there to talk about that. But let's go back a little bit, because I want to talk about the revolution that these iPhones, which is very big with me, have created for the world of television and broadcast, and most specifically how you can make a living out of it, because if you're not making any money, you're wasting your time. The thing that's interesting here is the way television is made, and to my mind, why television is so terrible and why books are so interesting. J.K. Rowling, who you probably heard of, began her life, well, she began her life as a child, but at the age of, in her 20s, as everyone does, but in her early 20s, she was a single mother, unemployed, out of a bad marriage, no job, living on welfare, or the dole as they call it in Britain, and really not much in the way of job prospects at all. But she had an idea for a book, you know, this Harry Potter thing. And so she didn't even have the money to heat her apartment, so she used to go to the local pub and sit at a table all day and nurse one cup of tea. And she started writing this book on cocktail napkins with a pencil, actually, but she had an idea. And of course, she finished the first draft, and she was a total unknown, and no one had ever heard of her, and she had no background and no connections. And she took the first Harry Potter book. I think she got rejected by 40 publishers until she got picked up by Scholastic, which was Bloomsbury. Yeah, Bloomsbury in Britain. Bloomsbury in Britain, and then Scholastic. And those guys were taking a risk because they didn't really know what they're getting into. And of course, Harry Potter turned into the world's bestseller since, like, the Bible, and maybe even better now. And she became a phenomenon, and it went on to multiple series. And this is where literature comes from. Great literature does not come from employees of Random House getting assigned to write specific books that the marketing research people have told them will make a great novel. Great books, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, come from a sense of personal passion. And the reason we're able to do that is because the technology of writing involves a pencil and a piece of paper, and we all know how to write. Television, which is vastly more powerful, I'm sorry to say, than print ever was, grew up in a very different way. Television was expensive to make, complicated to broadcast, and difficult to do. So the people who ended up making television were the only people allowed to make it were people who were employees of NBC or CBS or the BBC, and you know, they do fine stuff, but their world is extremely limited. And people who own production companies, and I know because I used to run a production company, they don't really care what the subject matter is. All they want to do is please the broadcaster. So if you go in to pitch to, like, the Food Network, you don't come in and say, I personally have this fantastic passion for Japanese cooking and I really love it and it's really important to me. You go, and I've done this 1,000 times, and you sit with the head of the network and you go, what do you want? And they'll sit there. I did this recently with the Food Channel, and they said hamburgers. That's all they really want. And Discovery said, we want guys with cars. And so then you go back and you find the people that match their needs, and you end up, it's a manufacturing process as opposed to a creative process. I mean, it's creative in a way, but it's just pure manufacturing. And that's why most of the stuff that's on television is absolute, garbage, particularly in the nonfiction world, because it's made by people, they're very nice people, except for my ex-wife who runs a production company. She's not a nice person. She's an idiot, but that's another story. But they're run generally, for the most part, by very nice people who are in a business, and their business is to give the network what the network perceives they want, and the network puts on the air what they believe their marketing people have told them they want, which is why it's such crap. If we ran the world of publishing the way we run the world of television, you would go to Amazon or you go into Barnes and Noble and something like that, and you look at the bestseller list, and it would be, the Katie Couric story or Lester Holt reviews the Middle East. In other words, dreck, as we say in New York. J.K. Rowling did not make dreck. J.K. Rowling made what was inside of her. And if you can have a passion for something and you can turn it into video the way she turned it into text, then you have the opportunity to break the barriers that have messed up the television industry to date. And what's messed it up is this notion of production companies and we make it and you watch it. It's a closed environment. Print is an open environment. I mean, New York City, which is just out the window over here, there are probably 1 million people who believe themselves to be writers. And they sit and they're either screenwriters or they're playwrights or they write novels or whatever it is. And let's be honest, 99% of them are going to make junk and never go anywhere. But every once in a while, you're going to get a Philip Roth who came from Newark, which is just across the river, who's going to pop out and you're going to go, wow, that guy is a genius. And it's not because he was an employee of Random House. It's because he, like J.K. Rowling, had internally had a story to tell. The fact is that the revolution in technology, and it happens on 2 levels. One is that now the internet, of course, has limitless demand, but even cable has a demand for 4.5 million hours of television a year. So there's a demand there, although they're a little nervous. But now with the addition of the internet, the platform is basically limitless. The important thing here is that the cost of producing the product has been shattered. When I started in the television business, the general rule of thumb was $1 million an hour. Well, not many people have $1 million an hour that they can throw around to go and make television with on a whim. But the fact is that now all you really need is an iPhone, like I got here. And in fact, the amazing thing, the iPhone, it shoots, it edits, it puts in graphics, it puts in music, it does basically whatever you need to do. Or you get yourself a little video camera like we have tons of here if you want to buy them. We're selling them on eBay. We're still selling them on eBay. We're selling them on eBay. So check it out or just get in touch with us because we're really moving iPhones. But that's another story. But between a little video camera or even an iPhone, you have all the raw material that you need to create enough content to pitch and sell a project. Now, what do you need in terms of content? What you do not want to do is you do not want to go and make an hour or a half-hour pilot. This is death, because the more stuff you make, the more stuff there is to pick apart and dislike. What you want to make is basically a 1 to 2 minute pitch reel that just jumps off the screen. I mean, the thing has just got to be a killer from beginning to end. So back to Zoe Chakiris. Zoe Chakiris, as I said before, she was a member of the VJ.com. She learned how to shoot. She had never touched a video camera before. She'd never done anything before, but she learned how to shoot. She learned how to cut, and she had this idea to do a piece with her dog, Tobi. And so we said, okay, go and make some stuff. And the stuff she made in the beginning, in all honesty, Zoe, I love you, but it was absolutely, positively, appallingly bad. And so instead, she sent it in, and we sent back, when it comes to notes, we're very blunt about what works and what doesn't work, because there's no point in just being nice.
If you want compliments, who do you go to?
Yeah, huh?
If you want compliments.
If you want compliments, go to your mother. Right. So instead, we simply sent back, very blunt notes, but much to her credit, she took the notes to heart, and she began to pay attention to what we said, and slowly, it took almost a year until she got a reasonable pitch reel. So she got the pitch reel together, and then we said, well, now it's time to take it out. So what she had to create after that was what we call a one sheet, which is I'm going to show you in a second. This is a one sheet, which I have here online, and actually we'll put this up on for members only.
Yes.
So you can get a sense of this. This essentially is one page that explains the show, and her show is called Tales of Travel. And one of the changes we made in the show when she pitched it was, instead of doing it her with the dog, we made the dog the character, and we said the dog should pretend to think it's a human being. And you get the idea. It's like that video that you see with the guy with the dog goes, the maple kind?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny. It's very popular. So we got this idea of flipping the show around, and she was very good to work with. And so she made the one sheet, which she did, and then it was time to pitch the show because she had everything she basically needed to do that. And so she went off to MIP, which is in France. It's called Marché International des Programmes, and it runs twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And this is a meeting of all the major television producers and production company and networks in the world who come together for 1 week. It's an extraordinary place to be if you're trying to pitch your stuff. And when you go, you get a badge, and people either get a badge as a buyer or a seller. So she had a badge as a seller. And she registered, and she got in the book, and then she took her meetings. So I told her to send me some pictures. So here's a photograph that she sent us. And again, we'll be putting this on VJ World. And she went went to all these conferences, these instructional conferences, instructional events. But I said the most important thing to do is to go and meet people. So here she is in the Grand Palais, which is in Cannes. If you've never been to Cannes, it's great to go anywhere at the south of France, a lovely place. And she's got her little tag on, which says that she's a seller. And she went around and I said, talk to every single person you can find. Because all you really need is one person to fall in love with your ideas. So she's got her one sheet, she's got her pitch reel, she's taking her meetings, and in all honesty, I mean, it's a cute idea. This would never could have happened 5 or 10 years, even 2 or 3 years ago, because it's filled with people from Discovery, and it's very in-house. The fact is, what makes her do this is two things. Three. One, she got a great idea. And also she got the dog, which is a barrier to entry. Nobody can steal the idea because she owns the dog. They could steal the dog, but then it'd be bad.
Crime of the century.
Then you'd be the crime of the century. So she got the dog and she got the idea. Second, she's refined the idea down to something that's comprehensible. We say it's a bumper sticker. You get it right away. A dog travels the world and you see it through the dog's eyes. And it's a fun idea. It's enough. It's a hook. It's enough to get you involved and you want to see the thing. The third thing she got is the one sheet, which in one page basically explains what the whole show is. And the fourth is she cut together a really funny, compelling, very sweet, great 2-minute pitch reel, which essentially, it's not the show. And I told her, do not make the show. Just make it, it's like a movie trailer. Just make the tease so that people want to come in and see it. And if you can put all these things together and you walk, and the last thing, which is most important, is because she's doing it herself, her cost for doing this is far below what would cost Discovery or Travel Channel or somebody else. Those guys are still budgeting around $250,000 per half hour, which to me is nuts, because I said to Zoe, if somebody paid you $30,000 a half hour for you and the dog to travel around, of course she would take it. And they buy it in blocks of 13, by the way, so that's $390,000. And that's, see, Brett is already leaving. He's walking out. He goes,
see you later, guys.
See you later. What do I have to be here for when I could do a great deal like that? So there's no question this is going to happen. This is coming. Now, Zoe, she's on the cutting edge of this thing. She's one of the first people to do this, but this is why we want to work with you, because we're very much in favor of not to be like the Trump thing, but smashing the old system, breaking it, right? Out with the old and in with the new. And the new for us is this whole democratization of television content. That is not they make it, you watch it. That is you make it, and we all get to watch it. And that's the idea. And I think I've eaten up my 20 minutes. Do we have any questions or comments?
Yes, some questions.
Oh, good. Questions. Great.
I have a pitch reel made for a show.
Here's a picture of Toby.
Oh, yes, you have to show Toby.
Toby the dog. Okay, good. Okay.
I have a pitch reel for a show idea that I've been working on for a few years now.
Oh, really? Okay.
How do I get people to see it, and who are the right people to see it?
Is this a yearly member? Because if you're a yearly member, I'm happy to help you
sure.
personally.
This is someone I just contacted the site through email. So
all right, man. Here's my general answer. How do I get the pitch reel to somebody to see?
Who should see it, and how do I get it in the right hands?
Right. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to look at it and you say, what network could I see this thing on? So it's about food. Obviously, you're going to go to food. You're going to go travel places like that. If it's about big cars, you're not going to go to the Food Channel. You're going to Discovery. So the first thing you have to do is you have to narrow your range of people to whom you are showing this. And remember, this is not just domestic. This is international. And even if it's only in English, there's still Europeans will buy it and dub it. There are like 40,000 cable channels now in the world that are potential buyers. So the first thing you want to do is narrow down your field. Second thing, you want to put up a website that you can link to where people can see the pitch reel, see a quick explanation, get contact information from you. So it's a quick thing like that. And then you have to start inundating, sending out emails to all the heads of programming and all these, maybe you've three or 400 channels that you narrow the thing down to in the end. Just send out emails and keep inundating them. All you want them to do is take the link, and the thing has got to be quick. You know, your pitch reel has got to be right from the very first shot. They got to look and go, whoa, I got to have that. And that's how you structure
a lesson about
thing.
How to make a great
Yes,
pitch reel.
we have a lesson on thevj.com on how to make a great pitch reel, so I strongly recommend you join, but I hope that answers your question. Yes.
We have another question.
Yes.
I have a series idea starring myself.
Yes.
If I sold it, how do I make sure that I'm still involved, that they don't just steal my idea?
Right.
Maybe
Right. There's a lot of questions here about people are afraid to send out ideas because people steal ideas. So here's what I would say. Networks do not buy ideas. Everybody's got the same ideas. No new ideas have come along like ever. It's about execution. So many years ago, we did a very, very successful medical shows. But any idiot can say, I'm going to go to a hospital and shoot things that happen. It's execution. And that's why the 2-minute pitch reel is so important, because if the 2-minute pitch reel jumps off the screen, they're going to go, wow, get that guy, I like what he makes. Nobody ever says, get that guy, he's got a great idea. Ideas are worthless. It's all about execution.
That's it for
questions.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. If you're not a member, I hope you'll join the VJ.com, or at least take a look at the website. We have 10-day free membership, right?
10-day free
10-day free membership.
Oh, we also
so
have right now a flash sale going on.
Flash sale going on.
Until Monday.
Until Monday, right?
30% off.
30% off.
Yearly membership.
Yearly membership, which is only $149.95 for yearly membership. Less 30% would be, you went to Dalton.
I don't
Your parents
know
paid
math.
$65,000 a year. It's $1 million education.
Well, it's $1 million deal.
It was $1 million deal. It was $150, 30% would be $45, would be $105.
$105.
$105 for a whole year. When you consider that NYU Film School is $65,000 a year, and we are there for $105 for a year, I think we're better off. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Thursday, is that right?
Yep.
With another one of these live things. And if you have questions in the meantime, send them in, info@thevj.com. Thanks for joining us.